for May 6th in the pavilion. I think the team did a great job setting this up. It's glad to see people in face-to-face for this. This is fantastic. Also, I would like to introduce, and my pleasure to introduce, Pastors Carla and Alvin Agaseta, who will be saying the prayer, and Miss Claudia Casinda, I may have mispronounced that, will be interpreting it in English. So I think the church is Iglesia Jesus de Nazareth to the Nations, which is right down the street on Loyola and West Esplanade. So it's great that we have a church, a congregation, a pastors from the neighborhood. I think it's fitting, and I am proud to be able to introduce them and for them to lead us in our prayers. So, ladies.
Dios les bendiga. Buenas tardes a cada uno de ustedes. Es un honor, es un privilegio estar aquí en esta tarde. Para orar, pedirle a Dios que Él sea la guía de los asuntos de la ciudad que van a tratar. Oramos. Padre, en el nombre de tu Hijo amado Jesucristo, te damos las gracias. Gracias por este día que nos permites estar aquí reunidos en esta tarde. Y gracias, Señor, por ser el centro de esta reunión, derramando sabiduría, guianza, para tratar los asuntos para el beneficio de la ciudad. Te damos las gracias, Dios, y que sea el Espíritu Santo de Dios en cada uno de los líderes, de los que están aquí reunidos, y que seas tú, Señor, en cada uno de ellos, para que, Padre, todo lo que se ha de hablar aquí sea, Señor amado, para beneficio del pueblo. Gracias al cónsul que nos hizo esta invitación. Te pedimos, Señor, que seas tú usándolo y guiándolo, Señor, a mejorar esta ciudad y a volvernos a ti, a tus mandamientos, a tu palabra, para poder estar bien. En el nombre de tu Hijo amado Jesucristo, te damos las gracias, Señor. Amén.
Councilman Brennan, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir? First, special intentions, Councilman Segura. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Brennan, you have a special intentions as well?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Council Chair. I'd like to ask you to please remember my wife's cousin, Dr. Elizabeth Kinsley, longtime Metairie resident and Covington resident for a number of years, that passed away very unexpectedly last weekend. Please keep she, her sons, and her family in your prayers.
And I would also like to ask our prayers. This week is the National Nurse Week. It is also the National Goodwill Industries Week, and also for the Corrections Officer, National Week for the Corrections Officer, to keep them in your prayers. Thank you. Mayor Zahn.
Okay, sorry about that. It's for Mrs. Martina Flores. She is the grandmother of Mr. Tulio Murillo. He is a Hispanic leader here in the city of Kenner, always doing things for the city, donating his time. She has been a resident since 1968, and she has 8 daughters and 1 son, and also her grandchildren. So remember her in your prayers. And also, many of you all know the retired EMT, Joey Giovinco. He lost his son this past week, Dominic Giovinco, so please keep him and also the Giovinco family in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you,
Thank
Mayor.
you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Brennan, would you please lead us in a prayer? Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. We have a quorum. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Do we have any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor? Seeing none, under the consent agenda, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of April 23rd, 2021. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2233-21, Driftwood Park Civic Association to hold a public gathering on May 16, 2021 from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the purpose of a civic association membership interest at Gladys Playground, 41 Nassau Avenue in Kenner, Louisiana. Item 4 is correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads. Item 4A, at the request of the administration, a report from Mayor Zahn.
Mayor Zahn, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Council Chairman. We did a code sweep today in District 2 with help of Councilman Segura's office. In the 23, 24, 2,500 blocks of Idaho, 24, 2,500 blocks of Illinois, we had 20 violations and 17 warning violations. That is an area, as the councilman knows, that has been consistent with issues, and we will continue to work with your office, Councilman Segura, to make sure that we get that back where it needs to be in the city of Kenner. So I want to thank all the men and ladies of the Kenner Code Department also for their time in getting that done. A few brief announcements, and I have one speaker from CRC that's going to come up at the end and tell you about a function that's happening this weekend at CRC right here in the city of Kenner. But first, I'm happy to announce that we're back to these, some type of live council meeting, but we also have employees physically going back to the offices. As you all know, which I've said many times, we have never missed a beat with essential services, from police to fire to public works, general services, all those types of things. Essential services were still being done. And of course, all of our employees were working from remote locations. But for right now, we are going back into the city buildings. Of course, the majority of employees are back. There are some that are still remote. We're working with those to get them back in the offices because we're having some challenges with some of the offices that are around in the city of Kenner. Does not apply to Building A. As you all know, Building A, which houses the council chambers and also clerk of court besides numerous other departments, is under repairs. We continue those repairs, and we will make sure that we get that done as quickly as possible, but it's a lot to do. And the City Hall employees that are actually working in there need to be applauded. Those employees are doing a fantastic job. Remember, when they go in there basically with a hazmat suit on. Mr. Pitfield will call it something different, but to me it looks like a hazmat suit. It's what they go in with full gear on their heads and their bodies and their gloves on, masks, protective eye gear to make sure that they are protected because they are getting the mold out of there and taking those things down. So it takes a lot to get it done. So besides the council chambers being interrupted, the clerk of court is also interrupted. That will happen and will continue to happen at the Pontchartrain Center. That's where we are right now with clerk of court. As you know, I sent a note to each and every one of you all, well, to the council chairman, and he agreed that we would have council meetings for the time being here on a Thursday evening and also at Heritage Hall. My reason for asking that was it gives an opportunity, since we are remote out of the council chambers, but yet live, it gives an opportunity. If you live in South Kenner, you can make that one on a Friday morning. If you live in North Kenner, you can make this one on Thursday evening, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. You can go any place. But just Kenner's kind of big, so putting one at this end and at the other end, Rivertown and almost the lake, we give an opportunity for everybody to have an opportunity 2 different times of the day, to have an opportunity to come to the council and address the council, address the administration. So, Council Chairman, I appreciate you working with me and accepting that request, that ask. I think it's worked out good for right now. That the council chambers are, like I said, being repaired, and clerk of court is being repaired, so those two things have to stay remote for right now. I want to do a little bragging about, first of all, thank the 7 of you all for putting it out for the people to vote on, but also do a little bragging on the administration doing their part to get that message out, just asking people to go vote, not telling them how to vote. But I think it's a mandate from the people of the city of Kenner, those constituents that understand the services that we need, fire, garbage, and sewage, anywhere from 75% to 80% approval rating. They said, yes, we want to keep paying our taxes on fire, sewage, and garbage. And we know we've been through a lot of things with funding our fire department. Y'all are faced with that right now with the budget. We've been through a lot, obviously, over the last year when you talk about garbage. And we've also been through a lot with sewage, all the things that we are addressing. But, I want to applaud the general public for what they have done to come out in that kind of return. When I saw the returns coming in Saturday night with 0% of the precincts reporting, of course, that means early voting. And early voting was showing right there that it was going to be basically a landslide. You always want to see these landslides, particularly you want to see these landslides with renewals. And I think the message got out by the 7 of you all uniting to make sure that they put out, it wasn't a 6-1, it wasn't a 5-2, 3-4. It was absolutely 7 people saying, along with this administration, we need these basic services. So again, thank to each and every one of you all for giving the people the opportunity to vote. But most importantly, I think we all need to thank our real residents out there that understand what we're asking for. The residents that use garbage, fire, and sewage every day, and those things are being supplied still by the city of Kenner, thanks to them and also the administration and this council. Miss Faria with CRC is going to talk about a vaccination program that's happening this Saturday. I want to thank Ronnie and Jenny Maines for all they do. They do a lot for the city of Kenner. They do a lot for the community. They do a lot for all of us on how they get the word out and all their donation of time, how they donate their time to anything that we ask them to do. But actually, he asked us for this. He came to us and said, can you help out with this? So Ms. Faria, and I might be mispronouncing, I'm sorry, I apologize, is going to talk about it. But again, thanking Ronnie and Jenny for what they do. We appreciate you being here.
So, Ms. Barrios, could you give your name and address, please?
My name is Faria Sagastume from 709 Kenner, Louisiana, but actually living in Honduras. Good evening. I'm Faria, once again. I'm with CRC Global Solutions, and I am here today to talk to you about the vaccine drive that we are hosting this Saturday, May 8th, in our facilities in 32 East Airline Highway. We are actually in partnership with Oshner and Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Everyone that comes and gets their COVID-19 vaccine will be receiving a free box of groceries until the supplies last from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And as also, I wanted to mention for more details on how to sign up, you can check our Facebook page of CRC We Care, We Share. So yes, basically our food Sightseeing Drive this Saturday. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, could you give Madam Clerk and our assistant the flyer so she can forward it to all of us to post on our Facebook
Sure. I
and
will do.
social media pages? Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Look forward to it.
Council Chairman, that's all I have unless y'all have any questions.
No, I'd just like to, again, thank the mayor for our conversations about the availability to have these council meetings because, I am not a big social media person. I like that in-person place. I guess I get that from Mr. Al. I don't know. But to be able to have it here, the farthest end almost in the city of Kenner, and to also have it in South Kenner is perfect to be able to let people don't use a deterrent to say it's too far away that you can't come because it's going to be in both places. So I look forward for the people to be able to have the opportunity to come out and see us in person. And, it's good to see people who are doing well during all this pandemic stuff. And we look forward to the next meeting that will be held in Rivertown. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. That will conclude the consent agenda.
Motion by Councilwoman McKinney, second by Councilmember Wilmot to approve. Council members, please vote.
Councilman Brannigan? Yes. Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney? Yes. Councilman Wilmot? Yes. Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. We have none. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A is summary ordinance number 12,827, an ordinance amending the Kenner Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Section 56 of the Kenner Code of Ordinances to amend number no parking zone on the north side of Sequoia Street.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilwoman McKinney to approve.
Mr. Chairman, we have a request to amend the item. If the clerk could read the amendment into the record, please.
Thank you.
The first whereas will read, whereas it has been determined that no parking signs on the north side of Sequoia Street need to be modified. And under Section 1, Sequoia Street will read between the entrance of the Woodlake Country Club parking lot and Platt Drive, the south side of the street, and extending east on the north side of the street for a distance of 35 feet from the intersection of Platt Drive. If I could get a motion and a second on the amendment.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilwoman McKinney on the amendment. Council members, please vote. Okay, if we have individuals who would like to speak on the amendment as well?
On the amendment, sir?
On the amendment.
On amendment.
Your name and address, sir, please.
Roger Fernandez of Kenner, 32 Platt Street. Could you reiterate what you just said on what we're changing the amendment to?
Absolutely, I'll be glad to. The first whereas will read, it has been determined that no parking signs on the north side of Sequoia Street they need to be modified. And then under Section 1, Sequoia Street, between the entrance of Woodlake Country Club parking lot and Platt Drive, the south side of the street, and extending east on the north side of the street for a distance of 35 feet from the intersection of Platt Drive.
So does that mean that there's going to be no parking signs on the south side? Or there will be?
So,
Yes, sir. So I think it's a little confusing the way it's worded. The south side will remain no parking. The north side, which is the club side, 35 feet from Platt, will be no parking. And then from 35 feet to their driveway will be parking. And that way people can do drop-offs, FedEx people can make their deliveries, anybody that is elderly that needs to be dropped at the club and such will have that availability to use those spots.
Okay, but there's a driveway across the street from where you're talking about that if they back out in reverse, they're going straight into into the traffic there of kids coming onto the street that are parked there. There's a driveway right across the street from it.
I'm well aware.
So, Councilman, if you can hold your comments, I want to let the gentleman finish his question, because everyone gets 3 minutes. So if you can say that, and then the councilman will respond accordingly.
I just don't understand why this has to be changed at all. I don't get why. This really, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, ask yourself, why do they need this? The only people that are breaking the law right now are the owners and the employees. They don't want to use the parking lot. The parking lot is empty, but they're going to park in front every day. They don't care. And then what happens? Oncoming traffic from westbound and eastbound, they have to go around that. So there's people coming right at each other now. Why? Why do we have to have that? And it's still going to make a problem for the rest of the street, because as soon as you have, public parking right up in the front right there, the rest of it's going to be filled anyway. That makes no sense. Why do we have to do this at all? This ordinance has been in place for a very long time. Somebody's moving the no parking signs from the other side of the street to begin with. Who's doing that? Who's pulling them out the ground? Doesn't that make any sense? This is all wrong? That's all I have to say. I mean, it's just for the safety issues, and nobody's really paying attention to that. We want to just open it back up and let them go ahead and start parking out on the south side, go ahead and, drop the kids off in the middle of the street again. This is what it's going to create. I even have Mario, the owner, saying himself that there's an issue on the north side, on video. And we're going to let this thing go through. I don't understand why y'all doing this. I really don't. It's just going to create problems.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your comments, and the councilman will speak after you and Mr. Brown speak to address maybe some of your concerns and comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brown, name and address.
Thank you, Mr. President. Richard Brown, 824 Sessions Lane, Kenner. I've learned shortly before the council meeting that the ordinance was going to be amended, but didn't know how. And I still don't understand exactly what's changing, and I hope Mr. Brennan can explain it again without this being taken out of my time. The public has no idea what this amendment is.
Currently, on both sides of the street, there are no parking signs. From Platt to basically the driveway to the parking lot at the swim club. South side, those signs will remain. That's not changing. On the side of the club, from the corner at Platt for 35 feet, it will be no parking. That's so a fire truck can make the turn. Fire truck has been out there twice. The chief and Mr. Schreiner and I met out there last Friday. The truck has been out there twice. That's the distance we need for that vehicle to be able to make that turn. When the no parking signs were put up as they currently are, when FedEx pulls up to make deliveries, or whoever else, if it's someone having a birthday party and they pull up in front to drop items off to go in the club, because the entrance faces Sequoia, they're in a no parking zone at that point. The police have been called on numerous occasions for the FedEx person, for the mother dropping off birthday supplies, for whatever reason, to go out there and say these vehicles are illegally parked. When the FedEx man comes to my house or the FedEx woman comes to my house, it's not a 10-minute job. It's not a 15-minute parking spot. It's very quick. So the owners of the club have asked if we could amend that so there would still be no parking for safety. And then on the other side, people could pull up, whether it's elderly people that are going in the club to park there and not have to walk from the side lot. The street, whether cars are parked there is not any different than any other street in the city if people pull up and park in front of houses. So all we're doing is taking that and changing it so that they can have people park in front of the club. I have spoken with the owners of the club. They are going to enforce the no parking zone. They understand the seriousness of it. I've explained it to them. They're aware of what I was doing. They're aware that the fire chief and the fire truck and firemen have been out there. We've looked at this and we've looked at this. And again, whether to say if someone's parked there, people, whether it's a parking zone or a no parking zone, if people are going to pull up and drop their kids off in front in the middle of the street, a parking zone or a no parking zone is not going to change that. If that's how someone drops their kids off, then that's how it's going to continue. That has nothing to do with the parking zone or a no parking zone.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. If I can finish now, Mr. President.
Yes.
Because I really didn't even know what points to address. It's my understanding that the owners of the country club, first off, they have their own parking lot. They have a parking lot. They do not want to use their parking lot. They want to park on Sequoia in front of the club. I think they should not be doing that. They have a parking lot. They should use their parking lot. With the owners or employees or their friends parking in front and staying there, not just parking for 1 or 2 minutes to drop a child off or to pick a child up, but they stay there. The parents who are dropping off children have to stop in the street and let the kids run across. I just really think it is better to leave it no parking all the way from Platt Street to the parking lot, the way it currently is. This is a bit of a compromise, and I commend you for trying to arrive at a compromise, but I think it's better just to leave it no parking from the corner of Platt to the parking lot, which is the way it's supposed to be now. But thank you.
I'll say this. Are we going to go to Applebee's? Are we going to go to Club for Fitness and tell the owners of those businesses that they can't park in front of their business if that's where they wish to park?
Well, if it's no parking, if it's a no parking zone.
I understand that, and we're changing this. It's they can park where they wish. It's their business. My point is that the owner of Club for Fitness or any other place, if they take the closest parking spot to the front door, we can't go tell that person, you need to go park 50 spots over so someone else can park there. There was a FedEx truck that pulled up at the property with 12 boxes. The FedEx delivery man or woman was unloading that, and the police were called because the FedEx truck was in a no parking zone. They would have to park all the way to the side of the building and carry or cart 12 boxes. And again, the FedEx truck was not going to be there for 15 minutes or all day.
I appreciate it,
anyway,
Mr. Brennan.
This is a compromise.
Sir, could thank you.
Yeah, I see it as a safety issue, and I think it's better to leave it as a no parking area, but I understand. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Name and address?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 49 years.
Thank you, Mr. Al.
I agree with Mr. Brown, and I agree with this gentleman here in the audience. If there's a parking lot available, that's where they should park. Now, we got another problem. If there's any green space around there where that no parking is, because we do have an ordinance in the city of Kenner that prohibits vehicles from parking on green space, although it's not enforced, but it is on the books. As far as elderly people wanting to go over there to that country club or whatever, having to walk a little further out of the way, maybe we should look at that same consideration for elderly folks who have to go to the Social Security office who don't have a car. and got to get off the Kenner Loop on Williams Boulevard and walk the rest of the way. So I agree with, once again, I agree with Mr. Brown, and I agree with this gentleman in the audience. I oppose this resolution. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. L. Name and address.
Good evening, Stacy Alessandro, 3309 Chateau Boulevard. I don't really have any strong feelings about this, but what I do have strong feelings about is the fact that we have a resident who's obviously very upset about this. It's impacting his quality of life. And so I would ask you guys, when you're deliberating on this, to ask yourself the questions of, why was this ordinance put in place in the first place? I don't know the answer to that, but there was a reason. Has that reason changed? And if so, why are they no longer needed? I mean, I understand Councilman Brennan's point, that they would like their employees to park closer to their building, but I think their own parking lot is as close to the building as they can get. And as far as like Applebee's and Club for Fitness, those are in commercial areas. This is in the middle of a residential area. It's completely surrounded by residences, private citizens. And, also ask yourself if this is a quality of life issue for residents that live there. I think that would weigh pretty heavily if I was making that decision. And then, if we can't really come to a really, I don't know if y'all understand the whole thing. I don't completely understand everything, but also I would say let's make sure we understand the entire issue, because this is a big deal for some people. Some people it's nothing, but some people it's a big deal. So can we understand the entire issue? And then I don't know if you guys should vote tonight. I mean, only you know if you know enough. But I just want you to consider this and not just, kind of, because seems like a little minor agenda item. So can we please just kind of think about it a little bit and do what's fair for everybody? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Madam Clerk, could you read the amendment again, please? Oh. 10 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds.
Any way to defer this in order to get a petition by other residents?
The councilman will close on it. He will have a response to that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Fernandez, I'm going to ask you a question. How long have you lived there?
6 years?
How long's the club been there?
That doesn't matter.
Certainly.
It's the same
Okay,
issue.
Councilman, Mr. Fernandez, we're going to put this amendment on the floor. Councilman, you're going to close, and you can address Mr. Fernandez. Madam Clerk,
Yes,
could
sir.
you read?
The amendment would be, first whereas, will read, it has been determined that no parking signs on the north side of Sequoia Street need to be modified. And then under section 1, Sequoia Street, between the entrance of Wood Lake Country Club parking lot and Platt Drive, the south side of the street, and extending east on the north side of the street for a distance of 35 feet from the intersection of Platt Drive.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And this is on the amendment. Motion by Councilman Brennan, second by Councilwoman McKinney on the amendment. Councilman Wilmot, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a question as far as the amendment's concerned. I just wanted to see if the councilman would be interested in this, and maybe, and I guess legal and public works would need to chime in on it. Is it possible that the area beyond the 35 feet, I think it's on the north side by the club, if that little strip right there, if the signs, instead of saying no parking, or would not have no parking, to have deliveries and Patreon drop-offs only? Is that a possibility? Is that legal? Can you chime in? Can we do that? Public Works, can we do that?
So Attorney Rayfield, you gonna take a stab at this question?
I'm thinking of the answer to it at the moment. Can you do it? I presume you could, but I don't think that there is, I'm not sure, I haven't looked at the ordinances to see if we have a loading, basically that's a loading and unloading zone. I'd have to see if we have an ordinance in which that case would have to be, that would be put in a separate ordinance. It wouldn't be in this one.
Yeah.
Because you would have to amend, you would have to amend that, assuming that we have a loading zone or such ordinance. I just don't know off the top of my head. You'd have to amend that ordinance.
Right, and I don't think we should
And
ever.
I don't have access, because of the Wi-Fi, I don't have access to Unicode to look it up.
So it's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, Councilman, I believe that's allowed, but I think we should research that and make sure that that's possible. I don't remember seeing it, but I've never looked for it. So I think we should research that to see if that's what y'all want. We could research that.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't have the answer, and I think we should never off the cuff determine something is good without knowing. Before the councilman closes, he will address Councilman Wilmot's request, determination, or what he believes, and then we will obviously go from there. So we are still on the amendment.
Councilman Carroll?
Yes. Yes, Attorney.
I just want to say, if that was something, a direction somebody wanted to go, this ordinance could be passed, the amendment could be passed today, and if you wanted to make that assuming we had a loading zone or something along that line, that could be dealt with not affecting this, but it dealt with at a future meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I will now ask Councilman Brennan to comment on, before we vote on the amendment, as it relates to Councilman Wilmot's suggestions and everything else that has been said. Councilman Brennan.
So we can move forward as it is with the understanding that we'll ask legal to look into the possibility of, instead of parking spots, it being loading and unloading? Okay. Would that cause a big fight like in that movie Airplane where the two announcers were fighting?
Could be. I'm not sure.
All right, so Madam Clerk,
Yes, sir.
can we proceed in that?
Yes, you call the question. Y'all want to vote on the amendment?
Do we have to adjust the amendment and add verbiage to it to address?
No, sir.
We don't?
No, sir.
Okay. So, based on that, we are still on the amendment. We already put it on the floor, correct?
Yes, I have a motion and a second on the amendment.
Council members, please vote on the amendment.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney? Yay. Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Skewer?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yay.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Back to the original motion as amended.
Motion by Councilman Brennan, second by Councilwoman McKinney to approve. Council members, please vote.
Councilman McKinney? Yay. Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Skewer?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yay.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution ratifying the appointment of Lee Hall Roussel as city attorney for the city of Kenner.
Motion by Councilmember Segura.
We have
Well, hold on.
comment.
It's
coming.
I'm gonna give you a chance, Mr. Al. Just put it on the floor. Motion.
Okay.
I see you.
I
That's
see you.
right. Motion by Councilmember Segura, second by Councilmember McKinney to approve. Mr. Al, comments.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 49 years. I just want to say welcome back, Ms. Roussel, to your former position. It's nice to have you back. You're quite welcome. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Al.
Ms. Morel, that still hasn't mean we voted on it yet.
Motion by Councilmember Segura, second by Councilwoman McKinney to approve. Council members, please vote.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Skewer?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yay.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney? Motion passes 7-0.
Now you can tell it great.
Mayor John would like to have a few words.
I want to thank the council for supporting this, and also want to thank our city attorney, Ed Rapier, for the work that he's done through probably the roughest year the Kenner history has had, the whole world has had. He did a fantastic job making sure everything stayed in place through a few controversial votes, and he kept the ship steering in the right direction. I do think that Lee and Ed make a super team, so I look forward to seeing Lee back in that role also, with Ed right by his side, like y'all all saw when you first came here, 3 or 4, or longer for some of you all, but you too, Council Chairman. But for some of you all, when you first came in, you saw the team that they made. So again, thanks to Lee stepping up to the plate, and thanks for the fantastic year that Ed did. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 12,828. An ordinance approving a cooperative endeavor agreement for improvements to the City of Kenner's wastewater system with the Louisiana Department of Treasury and the State of Louisiana in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
Motion by Councilman Carroll, second by Councilmember Brannigan to approve. Mayor Zahn has a few words before we vote.
I got more comments than I had my mayor comments. I just want to take time to thank, and I want to do it every time we get to it, but on 15A, 15C, and D, I want to thank Senator Talbot. He was able to get $250,000 from the state to do these projects, and I think if you see him out in the street, you need to tell him thank you, because we wouldn't have been able to do these things that are deferred maintenance that we need to take care of. So without his help, without the state's help, of everybody in the state, look, I mean, of course it had to go through Villio, Stagny, and then get to Talbot and Smith. But their support for the city of Kenner has been fantastic. That's talk about teams. They have made a great team, so I appreciate what they do. But he is the one that has led the fight on this. So thank you right here at this council meeting. But also, if y'all see him, tell him thank you, because that's a lot of money coming to the city of Kenner. Just wanted to recognize it. Thank you, Council Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor. To approve, council members, please vote.
Councilman Carroll.
Yay.
Councilman Segura.
Yay.
Councilman Hayes.
Yay.
Councilman Brannigan.
Yes.
Councilman Brennan.
Yes.
Councilman McKinney.
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot.
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 12,829. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from New Light Electrical Wholesalers Incorporated to supply street light poles and accessories in accordance with seal bid number 21-6593 and an amount not to exceed $150,000 annually for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilwoman McKinney to approve.
Councilman Segura.
Yay.
Councilman Hayes.
Yay.
Councilman Brannigan.
Yes.
Councilman Brennan.
Yes.
Councilman McKinney.
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot.
Yay.
Councilman Carroll.
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 12,830. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received for the wastewater treatment plant aeration basin gate replacement in accordance with bid number 21-1978.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Carroll to approve. Council members, please vote.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, please. I've received a request to amend this ordinance tonight. If I could, we're going to amend it to reflect Godfried Contracting, LLC, in the amount of $48,200.
Is that it, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. On the amendment, motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Carroll to amend. Council members, please vote.
Councilman Hayes.
Yay.
Councilman Brannigan.
Yes.
Councilman Brennan.
Yes.
Councilman McKinney.
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot.
Yay.
Councilman Carroll.
Yay.
Councilman Segura.
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0 on the amendment.
To approve. Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Carroll to approve. Council members, please vote.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 12,831, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received for the Sylvaner Sewer Lift Station improvements in accordance with bid number 21-1977.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilwoman McKinney.
Mr. Chairman, I've also received a request to amend this ordinance to reflect Gottfried Contracting LLC in the amount of $81,728.
Thank you. On the amendment, motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilwoman McKinney. On the amendment, council members, please vote.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yay.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 to amend. Back to your original motion.
To approve, motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilwoman McKinney. To approve, council members, please vote.
Councilman McKinney?
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yay.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 12,832. An ordinance authorizing the purchase of a TI Training Corporation complete training simulation lab system upgrade, including hardware, software, warranty, and associated accessories for the Kenner Police Department in the amount of $17,500.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Wilmot. To approve, council members, please vote.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yay.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is a resolution approving change order number 2 to the construction agreement with Gottfried Contracting LLC dated October 20th, 2020 regarding the 39th Street and Powell Boulevard Sewer Lift Station, LS 4207 upgrades project to extend the agreement time by 90 calendar days for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember Hayes, second by Councilmember Wilmot. To approve, Councilman, Mr. Allen, you have the floor.
Alvarado, 4260 East Winona Drive, Fifth District, 49 years. You got 90 additional days on this resolution, but I want to know what the dollar amount is. It was increased by $1. Can I answer that question?
The director will.
Mr. Morella, there is no increase in cost. This is only a time extension given to the contractor. Yes, sir, that's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Motion by Councilmember Hayes, second by Councilmember Wilmot. To approve, council members, please vote.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yay.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yes.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Han Enterprises Incorporated to upgrade swing sets at Erlanger Park in accordance with letter bid number 20-1970 in an amount not to exceed $9,717 for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 16B is an ordinance authorizing the utilization of GSA Cooperative Purchase Program Contract Number GS-35F-0190M to purchase one-star witness interviewer recording system and accessories from Signalscape Incorporated in the amount of $8,073.87 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16C is an ordinance ratifying the emergency repair for under-the-slab plumbing in the amount of $7,385 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16D is an ordinance approving an agreement with Treasure Chest Casino LLC for the lease of Kenner property. Item 16E is an ordinance adopting the operating budget for the city of Kenner for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021, and ending June 30th, 2022. Item 16F is an ordinance ratifying the policy and rates for commercial property insurance for the city of Kenner for the policy year June 1st, 2021 through May 31st, 2022. Item 17 is reports from the council and/or special committees.
Councilman Segura, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to make note for everyone, starting Sunday, May 9th, and continuing through Saturday, May 15th, is National Police Week. I want to commend our police chief for his leadership and all of the police officers of our city that have patrolled and done their job in a very responsible fashion, considering the past year and all of the issues that's been going along with police. So I think it's certainly rewarding to know that we have such a great police department. And again, thank our chief for his leadership in that. And if you can, tell a policeman thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Brannigan, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to let anyone that's here today know that we're working on the Musburg-Lino track situation, and the mayor and the administration know that I want that track open for our residents to be able to use. And we will have a solution, hopefully soon, to address this situation. And, you know, the people that put me here voted for me. I'm listening to their concerns, because the bottom line is I'm getting a lot of phone calls about this track, and I feel it should be open. Does anyone else have any comments?
If they do, they'll come back towards the end, Councilman, I'm sure. Thank you very much. Councilman
Mayor
Wilmot.
Zahn, did you want to say something?
Thank you for working with the administration with this. We will be, like I've talked to you about, a possible part-time employee is what we're looking at, the support of your office. So as we get through the budget, which is the budget hearings that come up very soon, we'll be looking at all types of things, and that's something we will possibly be looking at. And I think that's where my office and your office have come to an agreement that we think that's the best solution.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that my constituents that I represent are taken care of.
Right, and I mean, look, we share those constituents, so absolutely. It's just that we have to make sure that there's an employee there, because they have items there that don't belong to us, as we've talked about. You know that, but just for the general public to know it. So thank you, Councilman Brannigan.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman Brannigan. As it relates to the Musburg-Lino Park, obviously it's in Councilman Brannigan's district, but it is all of our constituents use that facility. So while it is not physically located in our district, it is still something that we all will be a part of, trying to ensure that we have a product for everyone to be able to enjoy that facility. And I look forward to that once we get past this, to that date. Thank you. Councilman Wilmot, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I want to chime in on that as well, and I appreciate the mayor making his comments and taking that stance. And Councilman Brannigan, thank you for doing that as well. That's very important, of course, to open that track to the public. I believe in that heavily, and as well as some of our current situations. I know it's been difficult under COVID, but at the same time, a lot of our rec issues, they need to be opened a little bit more as we go along, because now it's starting to get to the point that we can do so, I believe. And of course, safety is always paramount, but at the same time, we have a lot of families and children out there that want to participate in the rec. So let's see if we can make something happen with those two. Critical. It's just so important. It's what Kenner's all about. It's the fabric of Kenner. At least that's one of the reasons why I moved here many years ago, and we did sports for many, many years. I coached. My daughter did rec ball throughout her whole childhood. Even on to high school, and it allows them to catapult and do well and exceed, not just in sports, but academically as well. So I'm very proud of my daughter, and I think a lot of other folks would like to have those opportunities that we had way back when. Also, I wanted to mention, I appreciate this venue. This venue is fantastic. The acoustics sound good, and the spacing looks good. So I'm delighted to see us all back face to face again. So thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council President, for making this happen. Also, and I see on the agenda, we have ordinance and resolutions in summary of first reading, 16D in particular. I would hope that we can have some discussions. If I can set up an appointment with that, with the administration, the mayor, I'd appreciate it, so we can get more information on that as we go along. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And I too want to echo Councilman Wilmot for the men and women that helped put the logistics of this together. I think it worked out fine. I think the audience can appreciate this. The constituents can appreciate it. We can appreciate it. And everything from the technical support to the labor-intensive part that had to get done. And I appreciate it. And I just hope that it looks better even when it's in Rivertown, than this. So they can get better than this. So thank you guys a whole lot.
Council Chairman.
Mayor Zahn.
Thank you. 16D, yes. We, in updates, we do that, but I'm also planning on doing live meetings, not live, in-person meetings with you all 3 at a time, probably here at this building, to update you on a few things. Some things, I had this discussion with one of the council people before on an update meeting. We can't always share everything because the job of the administration is to go do these things that we go and do. But when it gets on your agenda, obviously it's time to do that. Just so you know, on this one though, you have 28 days. So that's why I'm more rushed with the budget, and with this one we have 28 days. So you'll probably see this. You will see this within the next month. We'll get to you on this one. But we have a few other things that we are very, very close to that I will update you with before there's an announcement, of course, like we always do.
Thank you.
We look forward to it.
Beautiful.
But in
Thank you.
person.
Thank you, Mayor. And the mayor alluded to in the beginning of the meeting about the millages that passed and that the city of Kenner and all of our constituents approve. And I think that's where the vote should always be, to the citizens to see if this is the direction we want to go. I see Fire Chief Morris here, and I think he may want to say thank you from the fire perspective to the community. And Chief, you would like, I know we would love to hear your words saying thank you, and any other additional information you'd like to respond to relating to that. Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, everyone. Just glad to be back to something similar to normal, or what normal once was. Yeah, I'd like to thank the members of the council and this administration, mainly the public, for their support of the fire department, especially throughout this past year with everything that we've been through. And we look forward to being there for the community at each and every turn and every time they need us in full force for them. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Thank you. Yes, we have a few. Mr. Al, you have the floor.
Coronavirus numbers, total tests, 7,070,166. Positive cases, 390,695. Negative cases, 6,679,431,000. Recovered, 460,337. Total cases in Kenner as of the 21st of April, 7,134. Current cases in Jefferson Parish as of shut down now for years, and I don't know why. We need to look into that too while we're looking at all this other stuff. Okay? Now, there was some discussion, I'm going to pick it up. There was some discussion at the last meeting concerning the executive session. The way the parish does it, they said through a resolution a time that they have to go into executive session, which is 2 hours after the meeting starts. If they can wrap up the whole agenda in the public comment portion, then everybody's finished, then they go into the executive session if they wrap up before the allotted time. So I think that's something we should be looking at here to avoid something what happened at the last virtual meeting. Okay? Now I want to say this. I support law enforcement in this city and all over this country, 250%. And I always will. Nothing will ever detract me from doing so. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Al. Mr. Greg Teff.
My name is Greg Taft. I live on West Loyola Drive in Kenner. I want to address this tonight because at the last council meeting, I discussed the executive session and brought it up. And I want to thank President Council Carroll for giving me an attitude adjustment when he said that he doesn't remember it being that way. And when I thought back at it, it's obvious that sometimes when I express myself, I'm not very clear. So what I wanted to do tonight is clarify. Now, I'm not a veteran at attending meetings. I only started maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. But I remember the first one of the meetings that had the executive session. I'm sitting in the audience, and all of a sudden the council disappears. And, of course, the citizens hadn't had a chance to get up and say anything. So I saw that everybody was kind of walking around. So I asked, what's going on? Everybody, why did the council leave? At that time, I was told that's the way they do it. When you have the executive session, they adjourn the meeting, go to the executive, and then they come back, and then they redo the meeting. You start the meeting over. Obviously, at the last meeting, I didn't maybe express myself properly. But I still believe the executive session, we've been doing that for years, and I still say I am amazed that it is still a problem. Why it even came up. Because as long as I remember, when y'all had an executive session, you would adjourn, council would, or the administration, council would go back into a room or whatever. I don't know what y'all do back there. When you come back, of course, you reopen it. And then you finish the meeting. That's the way I always understood it. And that's what I was trying to convey before my big attitude adjustment. But I do want to thank you for that, because it does mean that sometimes I'm not clear, and I need to be clear. And hopefully this time I'm pretty clear that, to me, if we've been doing something for all these years, and the council is the one that makes the agendas, I understand it, I could be wrong, that all of a sudden, because it's on a Zoom meeting, it is a big problem. It just amazes me. And that's really what I was wanting to convey. It just, I don't understand why all of a sudden it has to be a problem when it's never been a problem before. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Teff. And Mr. Teff, let me say that I in no way, shape, or form try to adjust your attitude. I appreciate it when you come up and make comments, because no one's perfect. I make mistakes myself. So I appreciated that. I guess my biggest concern with everything was not so much about it being asked. It just that it was asked 15 minutes before the meeting started. And I don't believe that would have been fair for any of us to try to adjust or get information. That was my biggest concern with it. So I appreciate what you said. I appreciate your comments, but that was my stickler that I kind of felt that would have been inappropriate to do that. So thank you, and I look forward forward to your comments in the future, sir. Thank you. Joey Liddell? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Brown.
I think I signed in right
you did,
behind
you
Greg
did,
Teft.
you did. Yes, it is you.
Thank you. Don't run me out yet. Richard Brown, Sessions Lane, Kenner. First off, I want to thank you all and congratulate you for coming to the pavilion for the in-person council meetings. We needed to get back to in-person. This is perfect. This beats the dickens out of the Pontchartrain Center, where the acoustics were horrible and we could not hear. This is an ideal solution. So thank you all to the administration, to the council members. Adam Campo probably had a lot to do with it. Thank you. This is nice. And it's nice to be back in person. As to the Musperlino track, I want to thank my councilman and also the mayor and the council president. I know Gregory Carroll, you probably had something to do with the conversations to let the public use the track. Excuse me, my councilman, Mr. Brannigan, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And the mayor's on. I'm glad you're trying to work something out. A couple of more comments about the parking on Sequoia in front of the country club. I'm glad there was an amendment to make this ordinance a little better. I think it can still be made better along the lines that was discussed here earlier. In fact, I talked to Mr. Fernandez, who had to leave. He said it's perfectly okay with him, and he thinks okay with all the neighbors if that area in front of the country club up to the parking lot is made a loading and unloading zone with a sign limited to 5-minute parking or 10 minutes or whatever. I don't think anybody has a problem with delivery people, FedEx and UPS stopping for the deliveries, with parents dropping off their kids and picking them up, and they should be able to pull right up to the curb in front of the club. So I think if the city will look into making that area, the entire area, except for the 35 feet near Platt, that probably needs to remain no parking so fire trucks can make the corner, et cetera. But making that area loading and unloading might solve the problem and make everybody happy. One comment regarding the executive sessions that Mr. Teft brought up. I have been to meetings. I don't know if it was the Kenner City Council or the Jefferson Parish Council or some other council meeting I went to, because I attend others on occasion. I've been doing this for almost 20 years, but I have been to council meetings where if there was an executive session, the council let the public speak first on the items at the end of the agenda, then the council went into their executive session. For the council meeting in question here a few weeks ago, there was no action to be taken in executive session. There was no vote that could have been taken when you came out of executive session because there was nothing on the agenda. The only thing was a discussion of 2 items in executive session. I just would like the council to look into the possibility when there's going to be an executive session, maybe let the public speak first. And it has been an issue for a long time. Maybe Mr.
30
Teft
seconds, Mr. Brown.
Maybe Mr. Teft hasn't heard any complaints, but some of us who have been attending council meetings for almost 20 years have moaned and groaned about the process. And the final comment is just a brief comment to Lee Roussel. By the way, congratulations, Ms. Roussel. It's good to have you back. And you asked me a question a while ago. The answer is absolutely yes. But there is one particular item I want to get with you on very soon. So, very good meeting. I am so glad you folks are back here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Liddell, hope I'm pronouncing your last name correct. I didn't think so.
I think it's my penmanship. It's actually Lahat.
Lahat.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Mr. Lahat, name and address. Sir.
Joey Lahat, 43 Madeira Court, Kenner. Driftwood neighborhood. Today we've got with us Ms. Stephanie Ponce King, also Ms. Cindy Catalano. We're of the Driftwood Civic Association. We're here today to first thank you all for granting us a permit to have a gathering on May 16th at Galatas. We're having a nice party from 3 to 6 p.m. We're having a band. The Lakeshore Drivers are going to be there, a bunch of Driftwood guys and girls. And the goal is we're bringing the Driftwood community back. We want all the traditions
traditions back. Cindy could talk to you forever about the traditions and things that have gone on in Driftwood and the parade. But we have a whole new board. We have a lot of energy. We have many people that want to do a lot of great things in the community. So this is just the start of the Driftwood, I'm not going to say renaissance. That never actually disappeared, but I used to go to the parade when I was 5 years old, and I'm happy to live in Driftwood at this point. So I want to thank you, Glenn, and District 3 Councilman, for making this happen for us. So you too, Christy, I've known you a very long time. So we invite all of you to come to our event, 3 to 6 p.m. on May 16th. Not Mother's Day, wouldn't make that mistake, next Sunday. So if you want to come out and have a good time, we'll be there. We'll have food, we'll have a band, we'll have music. And thank you again for our permit.
Thank you, Mr. Lahat. Ladies, would y'all like to say something?
Just thanks, and we're keeping on the traditions. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not. Ms. Stacy, name and address.
Stacy Alessandro, 3309 Chateau Boulevard. First off, I want to say congratulations to Ms. Roussel. Very happy to have you back. Very excited about that. Second thing is I want to mention that today is National Nurses Day, and we are lucky enough to have a nurse on our city council. So Representative Wilmot, thank you for all you do with that, and any other nurses that are listening. Briefly, I want to talk about executive session. The way we do it now is that y'all go in executive session. We don't know how long it's going to take. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 2 hours. People have to wait around. And what we could do is if we did the public comment period, citizens can talk about anything they want as normal, then y'all do the executive session. Then you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, are citizens waiting, like, are we taking too long, that kind of thing. You can take all the time you want. You have your executive session. Now, if you come back out of executive session and the worry was, well, what, the citizens, what if they wanted, if y'all take action? Well, if you take action when you come out of an executive session, if there is going to be something voted on and you're taking action, the open meetings law already dictates that the citizens will have a time to speak at that point, even if they've already taken their 3 minutes. They will have time to speak on any action that you guys take in executive session. So the citizens don't lose out on any chance to speak at all. All you're doing is saving, just because it's been done wrong for all these years and nobody's corrected it, or, maybe it's not wrong, but it could be done better. Why aren't we doing it better if there's a solution that's much, much better? So please think about that. The last thing I want to talk about is Musperlino. Mr. Brown was very, thanking everybody. I am not thanking anybody. This track has been closed. It's been finished for a year. A COVID year that we can't walk on it outside. And now it's every excuse in the book. Oh, there's budget hearings coming up. There's equipment there. When is it going to end? Open the park. Open it. Let's stop all these excuses. Maybe we'll see if there's money after the budget hearings for maybe, listen how many maybes there were, maybe a part-time employee. Oh, and then, wait, now there's another thing because there's equipment there. This is insane. Do you guys want to open it or not? Do you want to open it? Because if so, open it. It's COVID. We should be outside walking. We paid for that track. Y'all told us it was too good for us to use. That's insane. That's our money. We paid for something, but we're not good enough to use it. How much longer are we kicking this down the road? How much longer are we finding excuses? If you're not going to open it, just tell the citizens, look, we're not opening it.
One
that
more
way
minute,
we'll know.
Ms. Stacy.
Thank you. We'll know. But if you're going to open it, open it. I am sick of this. I want to use that track. I want to go walking on that track. Many people, there's the petition, over 300 signatures. We're all being ignored. Are you going to open it or not? I'm sorry I'm really upset, but this is important to me. Like that thing was important to Mr. Fernandez. This is important to me and a lot of other people. So I don't even want to wait another 2 weeks, another meeting to hear another excuse. Just let us know. Be honest with us. If you're not going to open it, tell us. But if you are, please let's open it. Thank you.
Thank you. don't see anyone else on the list. Any comments up here? So, motion to adjourn? Second.